Hi, my name is James Buffalin. I own Safety for Seniors and Accessibility Solutions of Idaho. I'm an aging in place specialist. My job is to keep you in your home safely and as long as possible. We're going to cover a few areas in the house today. Every space has issues and things that can be done to remedy that so that you can age in place. The entryway is an issue, as well as entering through the garage, which is where most people come through their home. Out here, if you are still ambulatory but are unstable, obviously we can put in handrails on this wall as well as this wall so that the individual has something to hold on to, or they can hold on to both. If they're still ambulatory, handrails make a lot of sense. If the individual is using a walker, the handrails aren't quite as important because they're going to have that walker as they approach the door, open the door, lift and go in. As they progress, if they are now in a wheelchair or cannot step over this threshold, we can then install ramps. There's portable ramps that can be removed quickly and taken in your vehicle to the next location, or we can put in something more permanent, which is called a modular ramp that comes with or without handrails.
Hi, my name is Hooglander and I own Treasure Valley Solutions. We specialize in smart home solutions for the home, and one of the options we offer is various solutions to help you age in place for longer. One of the first options we can look at is the Ring doorbell, which allows you to see who is at your door without you actually having to go to the door. You can use your phone to see who's at the door and make it a lot safer for you as well. So we're here at the other side of the front door. There's a few things we can do here as well for in the smart home space. One of the things we can do is replace the lock with a smart lock, which would then allow you to open that door after you've verified who's at the front door. When they ring your doorbell, you can remotely open the door lock, so you don't even have to walk down the hallway to go open it, reducing the risk of you falling and tripping and things like that. The other thing we can do is install a smart switch on the front porch lighting so that, for example, you can program it so the lighting turns on at sunset and then turns back off at sunrise, so you don't have to remember doing that. And it also gives you a better view of who's in front of your door if they ring the doorbell at night.
Something that's very important is lots of room and open space. I get into a lot of older folks, their homes, and there's a lot of clutter and stuff stacked behind doors and not clear pathways. You've got to remember the individual you're taking care of, depending on what ailment they have, they may be unsteady, they may have memory issues, so you need to keep things clear and familiar. Don't move furniture around. They need to know that every time they enter that home or move around within the home, that it's the paths are clear, it's safe, and they're familiar. So looking in here with this model home, this is actually a perfect example of how to space and place things. It's okay to have a bench in your hallway and to have this piece of furniture here. You just don't want to stack them up so closely that somebody has to squeeze through. So I understand we want to have our homes and have some personality to them, but there are things that need to be removed and changed. For one thing, if the individual has ambulatory issues, they may drag their feet a little, they may be using a walker. This rug is really, believe it or not, a real hazard. For someone with those issues, this is enough to trip them. So one of the first things I tell people is remove all throw rugs, and also, if possible, like in this home, a hard surface rather than carpet. Manipulating a walker and a wheelchair on carpet can be very difficult. And believe it or not, the pile of a carpet is enough to catch someone's toe and have them trip. So one of the first things I do is ask people, I will suggest on how to rearrange furniture, get rid of clutter, remove throw rugs. The other important aspect is as you get older, your vision gets worse. So having contrasting colors helps for that individual just with their depth perception, as well as a great amount of lighting, which this house has. These are all very simple fixes. It's not complex. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's just it makes sense. So as we move through this house, I will point out more other issues, but as you can see right here, this is actually, other than this rug, a very good example of keeping your space open and keeping your pathways uncluttered. In a lot of older homes, unlike this house, the doorway is fairly narrow, and people find that the wheelchair just can't quite make it through, or the walker is always scuffing the door. Well, a great option is I can install swing-away hinges, which ultimately will take this door and put it back and even with the door jamb. And that may not seem like a lot, but 2 inches can make the difference between the wheelchair scraping its way through here and clearing the door. The other great thing about this home in particular is as you can see right here, the levered door handles. That's a great option. As we get older and get arthritic, we lose that ability to grip effectively. So if you have a standard round doorknob, something as simple as switching it out to a lever will help an older individual or somebody who does have grip issues. Like I said, there's a lot of little things. It does not have to be complicated, and it does not have to be expensive to make your home safe. Okay, here we are in the master bedroom. Of course, getting in and out of bed can become a difficult task for an individual. There's a couple things we can do here. We can, for one thing, maybe lower the bed or get a lower bed frame so that they're not having to hike up quite as far. We can also install a bed cane, which is a device you've seen. That's just a bar that's right here, so they have something to grab onto as they're getting into bed. Very important, once again, to have your open space. If this individual's using a walker and a wheelchair, they need this space to get transferred into bed. This room is set up really well for that individual. The only thing I would change, if possible, would be eventually removing the carpeting in here and having hardwood and hard surfaces throughout the house. I do offer more complex equipment, patient transfer systems, Hoyer lifts, and a Hoyer is basically a lift that rolls around. It's hydraulic. You can lift the individual up, roll them, and put them in the bed. We also have equipment that can be mounted to the ceiling. This is called a patient lift system. And this is something that is powered and will, with the press of a button, will lift the individual out of their wheelchair. If that's what you're dealing with, you can slide them over and put them down in the bed.
Okay, so here in the bedroom, one of the things that we've installed in this particular home is a smart home controller. There's a few things here that are important for those individuals that have trouble moving around. First of all, it adds voice control to your lighting. So if you go to bed and you forgot to turn the light on, or light off or on, you can just say, "Hey Alexa, turn off the light." You are not logged into Amazon. And it will turn the lights off or on. The other thing in this particular control, it has a camera in the control, so your caregivers, they would be able to check up on you while you're in bed. So we're here in the bathroom now. One of the main hazards in the bathroom is people falling while they get in and out of the bathtub or in and out of the shower. One of the things we can do is install a fall detector. It uses a 4D technology to basically scan the room and see if a person has fallen, and it can automatically call the caregiver, or even just automatically call 911 if the caregiver doesn't respond to the call that they get, so that the person that has fallen can get help as soon as possible.
So here we have a nice soaker tub, and these are very nice, and people enjoy taking a nice hot bath for a therapeutic reason. The problem is these are historically a very difficult situation for people to get out of. Getting in, we can put a grab bar here, you have something to hold on to, you step in, probably try to put something here as well, but there's nothing really, these tubs present a big problem. If the individual has very limited upper body strength or can't get up from the seated position, there's a few things. We can, like I said, we can put a grab bar here. We can also put what they call a transfer pole, which would go from the floor to the ceiling, and it's a pressure fit. And the beauty of that is it's right here. It has a hoop that comes out so that the individual sitting in the tub can reach up, grab that hoop, and pull themselves up. The problem is, it really, the individual has to have some upper body and lower body strength. Otherwise, there's really no great solution to get into tubs unless we want to get into more complex medical equipment, which is what I call a patient lift system, where we could mount equipment that could lift the individual out of a wheelchair and set them in the tub. But most people, that's more than they want to deal with. The only other real option, if the individual wants to bathe and they cannot access this tub and do not want to put that kind of equipment in, we would once again remove this tub and put in a walk-in tub, something that they could step into, sit down and shut the door. Really, 85% of falls happen right here in the bathroom, and it's usually getting in and out of the shower. You could easily slip as you're stepping in or stepping out. Once again, very simple solutions. Grab bars. Normally I would put in something vertically as you enter on both sides, and then I would put a long bar on the back wall. The other thing that stands out to me is I'm not a real fan of shower doors, particularly if the individual is unstable, because what they will do is they will grab this door for stability. And if they did actually fall and grab this door, they would hit the floor, glass would shatter. It creates a major hazard. So one of the things that I usually do is I will remove shower doors and I will put in a fixed shower curtain rod with a very heavy vinyl shower curtain. This is also beneficial for a spouse or a caregiver. Once the individual is in the shower, whether they're standing or seated, they now have all of this room to help that individual get clean. We can even put in what they call an attendant curtain, which is a shower curtain that goes to 36 inches and for the most part will keep you dry but gives you access to the individual. The other thing that I do is I change out the shower head into a handheld shower, and I will also put what they call a glide bar on this back wall, so if the individual is seated, they have access to a handheld shower, they have a place to put it. I always put one in with a pause button so that they can start or stop the water. A lot of times a bath seat is mandatory. Most of the bath seats you see traditionally are they sit right on the floor. Those are okay. I don't like them particularly because they're not very stable. I will try to encourage people to let me install a wall-hung seat that can be flipped up and out of the way. That way an individual can stand and shower, but if they feel the need to sit, they can flip that seat down. The other thing that can be done if the floor is too slippery, I do have coatings that I can coat the floor with that will create more traction. If the individual is in a situation where they can't even step over this threshold, we're now to a point where we need to consider removing the shower and installing what they call a barrier-free shower. This is a shower that the threshold is no higher than 3/4 of an inch. It is something that you can step over or you can even roll a wheelchair in. So we can progressively work with the individual. They may only need grab bars now when we remove the doors, but in time, this whole shower may need to go so that they can have a wheelchair or an accessible shower. Okay, so here we're in a space that is always difficult. For one thing, it's a little restrictive in here. Some individuals may have to leave their walker right here as they enter this. But that doesn't mean we can't make it safe and accessible. There's a lot of different options. As you can see in here already, they've put in what we call a comfort height toilet. So it's to the seat. This toilet is about 18 to 19 inches high, which is what they call chair height or comfort height. Back in the day, most toilets were only 14 inches high, so this makes it much easier for the individual to get up and off of the toilet. If they do have issues getting up off the toilet, there's multiple ways to deal with that. We can put simply a toilet safety frame that attaches here, comes out and has bars that go to the floor, so when the individual is on the toilet, they can push up and get off. We can put grab bars, and a lot of times I will put a grab bar at an angle right here. And the reason I do an angle is that that's the natural break of your wrist. So if I have a grab bar in here at an angle, when you're seated, not only can you grab the bar down here to push yourself up, you can reach up to the top of the bar to pull yourself off the toilet. So depending on the individual's abilities, a grab bar will accommodate that. This is a great kitchen once again. This house has been the perfect house for aging in place. Lots of open space, big counter space. You know, really, there's not a lot to do in here other than the possibility of this gas stove is a safety hazard, and maybe this should be changed out to an electric. Really, if the individual is still ambulatory, just clear counters, make it open space. If they're in a wheelchair, that's when things get a little more complex, and if they want to take care of themselves and get their own food and access the sink, that's when you would have to consider modifying the kitchen extensively, where cabinets are lowered so that the individual in a wheelchair can access it. There's cutouts under the sink so that they can roll underneath it. But that gets into remodeling and a little more extensive work. But overall, it's just a lot of common sense.
And then once the stove gets switched out to an electric stove, there are solutions available as well to help with the safety of that. There's smart clocks available that can detect how long the oven has been on and automatically turn it off after it's been on for a certain amount of time, or automatically turn it off at bedtime in case it was forgotten to be left on, so that we can keep the individual as safe as possible. One other thing we can do in the home is install a smart thermostat. This would allow the individual to control the temperature from their phone, or even with voice controls. So there's one less reason for them to get up, wander around the house to adjust the temperature in their house.
Okay, once again, we're dealing with another entry point. This is your garage. I find that most people, if they're dealing with an individual, they're going to bring them into the garage to get them in the home, particularly in the winter time. So when a customer needs a ramp or needs those kind of that kind of equipment, I generally try to push them towards the garage because it's the most logical place to transfer the individual in and out of the house. Here we, like the front door, we run into the same issue. We've got a threshold here, and a lot of garages will have maybe one or even two steps. If the individual is ambulatory, it can manage those steps, but is a little unstable, you can do a couple things. Once again, I can install handrails on either side, and they mount into the concrete so they're very secure. Another thing that I do that is very affordable and makes a lot of sense is I can actually put a grab bar on this door jamb. It's very low profile, so you can still get items in and out, but that individual can open the door and have something to hold on to step in. The reason I do it on the door jamb is that it serves double duty. It'll go, you can use it going in, you can use it going out, as opposed to putting something here, then you have to put something on the other side. Like the front door, we can progress into a ramp here. A lot of people like this option rather than putting a ramp on the front of their house because of the aesthetics. The other thing that I always like to do on a garage door is, as you can see, it's made to self-close. I will change out the door stop to a magnetic door holder, door stop that will, when the individual pushes the door open, it keeps it open so that they're not fighting this door as they're trying to get in the house.
So in closing, there are a lot of smart home things that you can do in a home to make it more comfortable, more safe, and more accessible for those people that need it. One of the other options we have is a service called LifePod. It's a proactive smart speaker that can be set up in such a way that the caregiver can automatically put in reminders for things like when it's time to take medication, just to check up and make sure the individual is okay. And on the back end of that, you can program all kinds of different responses that, if the individual doesn't respond, that they can, automatically get alerted that, we tried to reach the individual in the home, there was no response, so maybe we should go check up on them. It really allows for a very cost-effective way of taking care of somebody while not having to be there, 100% of the time. Feel free to give me a call. All of our consultations are free consultations. We'll just work with you to see what you need for your home. You can reach me at 208-991-3502 or email us at info@treasurevalleysolutions.com.
Just in closing, I just want people to know that don't be intimidated by this. Don't be fearful. Don't be nervous or scared. A lot of the things that we discussed today are really cost effective. It can get expensive once we get into complex equipment like stair lifts and patient lift systems, but a lot of it is common sense. And I'm happy to come out and look at anybody's home. There's no charge for that. And I will work with you to formulate a plan to help you get from this stage to the end stage safely and in your home. This does not have to be something that is unattainable. It's definitely attainable, and I'm here to help.